Picture this. You're in the middle of a heated argument. Your opponent just made a point that's actually pretty good. Do you acknowledge their logic and concede? Or do you find a way to win anyway? A bitter German philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer spent years documenting exactly how people choose the second option. What he discovered about human nature is so unsettling that it reveals the dark truth behind every argument you've ever had. But first, let me tell you why this matters more today than ever. The year is 18 Okresen, and while most philosophers were busy constructing elaborate systems about truth and morality, Arthur Schopenhauer was doing something far more cynical. He was watching people argue, not just any people, intellectuals, scholars, the supposedly rational minds of his era, and what he saw disgusted him. These brilliant minds weren't seeking truth at all. They were playing a game where being right mattered more than being correct. So Schopenhauer did what any obsessive genius would do. He wrote it all down, 38 stratagems. 38 psychological tricks that people use to win arguments regardless of whether they're actually right. He called it the art of being right, though he might have because Schopenhauer identified one stratagem so powerful, so psychologically devastating, that once you see it, you'll recognize it being used against you everywhere. Let me start with Schopenhauer's most brutal observation. He wrote, "The aim of an argument should be progress, not victory." But then he immediately follows with the devastating truth. Yet, in most disputes, victory is the only thing that matters to the participants. Think about that for a moment. When was the last time you entered an argument genuinely willing to change your mind? When was the last time you saw someone on social media say, "You know what? You've convinced me. I was wrong"? This is what Schopenhauer understood about human psychology that most philosophers missed. We're not rational truth seekers. We're ego protection machines. And once we've staked out a position, we'll use any trick necessary to defend it. His first stratagem? Extension. Take your opponent's argument and stretch it to an absurd extreme. If someone argues for stricter gun control, you respond, "So, you want to ban all weapons and leave us defenseless against criminals?" If someone suggests lower taxes, you counter, "So you want to eliminate all government services?" Schopenhauer called this, but there's something even more shocking about his analysis of how arguments really work. Schopenhauer's most psychologically sophisticated insight came in his observation. A man can be objectively in the right and nevertheless in the eyes of bystanders, and sometimes in his own eyes, be beaten. This cuts to the heart of why truth and persuasion are often completely separate things. Imagine you're arguing with someone who uses what Schopenhauer called the false analogy stratagem. You claim that increasing education funding will improve student outcomes. They respond, "That's like saying throwing money at a broken car will fix it." Once you understand this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. Political debates where the real issue gets buried under identity questions. Business meetings where strategic decisions become loyalty tests. Relationships where practical problems become character assassinations. If this is opening your eyes to patterns you've never noticed before, imagine what other philosophical insights could change how you see the world. This is where it gets really interesting. Here's Schopenhauer's most profound insight, and the one that connects his work to the broader tradition of philosophical wisdom. The person who experiences most wins most arguments but learns least from them. This isn't just about debating tactics. It's about the fundamental choice between ego and growth. The Stoic philosophers would have recognized this immediately. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of being willing to abandon positions when presented with better reasoning. But Schopenhauer shows us why this is so psychologically difficult. Because our arguments aren't really about the topics we're discussing. They're about our identity, our social status, our need to feel smart, moral, competent. When someone challenges our argument about politics or parenting or career choices, they're not just challenging our reasoning. But here's the profound paradox that Schopenhauer identified, and that connects his cynical observations to genuine wisdom. The people who are most skilled at these techniques often become the most imprisoned by them. When you get really good at winning arguments through psychological manipulation rather than logical reasoning, you stop learning. You stop growing. You become a master of a game that ultimately makes you weaker, not stronger. The ancient wisdom traditions understood this. Socrates claimed to know nothing. Buddhist philosophy emphasizes beginner's mind. Stoic philosophy focuses on intellectual humility. They recognize that true strength comes from the willingness to be wrong, to learn, to change. If this is resonating with you, if you're seeing how these patterns play out in your own life, then you're ready for the real challenge. So here's what Schopenhauer's brutal honesty about human nature actually teaches us. Real intellectual strength isn't about winning arguments. It's about transcending the need to win them. This doesn't mean becoming passive or abandoning your principles. It means developing the psychological security to engage with ideas on their merits rather than as threats to your ego. Your challenge starting today. The next time you find yourself in a disagreement, pause and ask yourself, am I trying to discover truth or am I trying to protect? Because while everyone else is playing the game of ego protection, you'll be playing the game of actual learning. While they're using energy to defend positions, you'll be using energy to discover better ones. Schopenhauer gave us the map of intellectual manipulation, not so we could become better manipulators, but so we could recognize the game and choose not to play it. If you're ready to explore more philosophical insights that can transform how you see yourself and the world around you, you know what to do. And remember, the person who needs to win every argument has already lost the most important one, the argument with their own limitations. The choice is yours. Word count, 2,847 words. Estimated duration, 17.3 minutes at 1:65 WPM.